Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. I am here with my Nonfiction November TBR. I have seriously neglected nonfiction this year. Normally it makes up about 20% of my reading, and then I looked at my stats on the Storygraph for 2021 and it's only made up 9% of my reading this year, so there's no way I will get to 20%, but I would love to at least get to 10% of my reading being nonfiction. And there are a few that I've really had my eye on, but I don't think I've read a nonfiction book since June, which is really sad because normally I read 1 or 2 a month. But I tend to listen to nonfiction on audio. I really prefer it that way. So I only have 2 physical books here to share with you, and then the rest I will be listening to on audio. And I do want to say I will be reading fiction in November as well, but nonfiction is my priority. And this is Nonfiction November. There's a lot of iterations of it. I know that Olive at abookolive hosts it, so I will link to her channel so you can get all the information. And there are 4 prompts that she shares just to help guide your reading, but you don't have to follow them. I won't be following them, but they are interesting prompts. I think it's industry, treatment, style, and I'm missing one. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing. There's a Facebook group or a Goodreads group that I did join, and then some book bloggers also do it, and I participate every year. So every week there is a different prompt talking about your nonfiction reading. So I will link to the host of that as well and to my blog where I am going to participate. But now let's just get right into the books. The first one is one I've tried to listen to an audiobook a couple times, but there's so many people involved, so much rich detail, that one of my blog readers actually told me it's probably one that you have to read physically, so I might read it physically while listening to the audiobook, and that is Midnight in Chernobyl, the untold story of the world's greatest nuclear disaster. And this is by Adam Higginbotham, and I know that this has been adapted into a TV series that is supposed to be pretty good, so I do want to watch that. But of course, like most readers, I want to read the book first. Now this is a long one. How many pages is this? Look at this. Okay, you can tell that this is very well researched because, let me show you. Author's note, all this is glossary and references, all of this. So you know you're getting a lot of rich detail in here. So this is about 400 pages, so it's actually shorter than I thought because I thought this was all text, but it's just references and a glossary and a table of contents. So I've heard this is incredible. I don't know much about Chernobyl except what everybody else knows about it, and I am curious to learn more about what went wrong here and who was affected, who was at fault, all that good stuff. So this is a high priority. I've been wanting to read this for years, since I think it came out in 2019. And then the other one that I have physically is a memoir. Normally memoir makes up a big chunk of my nonfiction reading, but I just haven't read too many this year. I think I read Know My Name by Chanel Miller earlier this year, and that was it for me. I knew that it wasn't going to get much better than that. That book broke me. It was a very tough read for me, but she was brilliant. But then I noticed that Chanel Miller actually blurbs this book, Long Live the Tribe of Fatherless Girls by T. Kira Madden, and Chanel Miller says this is a book I wish I had growing up. So that intrigues me. I've heard this is fantastic. It's a story about the author's childhood. She grew up very privileged. I think she went to boarding school. She was like an equestrian rider, but at home she was dealing with abuse. Her parents were abusing drugs and alcohol, and she had a really tough go. So she's also queer. So it says, T. Kieran Madden's widely acclaimed, unflinching, honest memoir of trauma, privilege, displacement, and forgiveness. Long Live the Tribe of Fatherless Girls tell the story of a young woman mourning the loss of a father while excavating her glittery self-Florida girlhood for truths that fully reframe her reality. So yeah, I've heard this is great. It is under 300 pages, and it seems to be written in short chapters, so I think I can get through that one pretty quickly. And I wonder if, here I am thinking about audiobooks, I wonder if they narrate it themselves, if this author narrates them herself. So I should really look into that because I love when an author narrates their own memoir. So if you've read this, let me know what you thought about it, because I don't see too many people talking about it, but I've heard it's amazing. Now let's get into the books that I have audiobooks for, and the first one is one that I've actually listened to a bit of, and then everything happened with my cat and I just haven't gotten back to it, but I was really loving it and really interested in it, and that is The Empire of Pain, The Secret History of the Sackler Dynasty, and this is by Patrick Radden Keith. And I found his writing to be very accessible but so well researched, and this follows the Sackler family, who are responsible for the creation of opioids, and it really dives into their role in the opioid epidemic, and really we're getting deep dives into all of these family members through the generations. It's so well done. So we're getting all their family drama as well, and how it all started and how we got to here, and how each family member had a different role to play, a different outlook, different intentions. It's so well done. I've been wanting to read the author's debut, Say Nothing, as well. I've heard that's so great. So this is a longer audiobook, but I think I can get through it pretty quickly because I was really invested in it, and it really does kind of read like you're listening to a podcast, and I'm learning so much. And if you have watched any of those shows on Netflix about the opioid epidemic, if you know anything about just how serious that issue is, I think that you should pick this one up, because it's probably going to be on the best nonfiction books of the year. It's just so fantastic so far, so I'm excited to actually dive in deeper into that one. I think a lot of us have a fascination with cults, but I've never thought too much about the language that cults use, the language behind cults, cultish language that we use in our everyday life. So I was really fascinated by Cultish by Amanda Montell, and actually I listened to Amanda Montell's new podcast. It's called Sounds Like a Cult. I've listened to a few episodes, and I thought that was really well done, really interesting. I love Amanda's voice. She just seems like your average person that has a fascination with cults, that is interested in language and linguistics, has a lot to say, but is very personable. So I'm thinking that she probably narrates the audiobook because she's a great speaker, and I think it's just going to be a great listen. So the podcast is not talking about cults, it's talking about things that seem like cults. So it's talking about, one episode is about SoulCycle and Peloton. They talk about MLMs, things like that, things that are not actual cults but sound like cults. So I'm curious to see if that's also what the book is about, but I know that that book has been getting a lot of buzz. Another one I think will be one of the best nonfiction books of 2021. It'll be on a lot of lists, I have a feeling. So I really would like to get to that one. And I did take linguistics classes in university, and I loved them. The next one is one that I haven't heard too many people speak about, but I do have an ALC from Libro.fm, and they do send us nonfiction quite a bit. And this is the one that caught my eye, and it's called Flesh and Blood: Reflections on Infertility, Family, and Creating a Bountiful Life. And this is by N. West Moss. And I know that this is another memoir, which I love. It's a shorter book, so I think I can get through it pretty quickly, and I do want to read it because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, but the reviews have been really good. And obviously she talks about her infertility, and I am just looking forward to seeing what it's about. And then the last one is one that I've been wanting to read for such a long time because I am interested in the Roman Empire, and this is SPQR, A History of Ancient Rome, and this is by Mary Beard. I've heard great things about Mary Beard, her writing, her research, how accessible it is. It is a big book as well. I kind of want a physical copy to read along with, but I'm just intrigued by the whole idea of that book. I don't read as much historical nonfiction as I would like, so this seems like a good one to dive into. And my camera battery is dying, so that is a sign to wrap this up. That is not too many. Was that 6 books? I think I can probably do that. Some are bigger than others, and I do want to get some fiction in with that as well. But let me know if you're participating in Nonfiction November, what you're going to read, what has been your best nonfiction book of 2021 so far. Mine was definitely Know Your Name by Chanel Miller. So I will talk to you guys again soon. I appreciate you all so much. Bye for now.